What I wanted to share with you today is how I design crowns utilizing a tool from a company called Wacom. That's a direct pin display. So what I wanted to show is just the the workflow and how I use it, kind of explain it, show that it's completely customizable, so that you don't really need to use a keyboard anymore if you don't want to, because there's a virtual keyboard. All the hotkeys or the shortcuts that you normally would use as a designer, whatever that may be. There are some tools here on the side where I can turn it on. I keep mine simple. Turn it on and off the antagonist, the working model, F7. A few things like that. Primarily, I don't need a lot of shortcuts because it's just really easy to use and navigate with this. So the first case that I have. All right. So if you can notice, I can't hold it like a regular, how I normally will hold my pen or pencil, but actually it's just cradling in my hands, which is little or no effort. And with the workflow with 3Shape, it's just really easy. Most of it's next until you get to your design. And if I had my space navigator, I can fluidly pan and zoom and rotate and work with everything simultaneously. So, if I want to do my my margin, it's one fluid motion versus if I'm going to use my mouse, it's just not as fluid, and I'm kind of dragging my mouse along the, I know it's not a mouse pad, but along the tabletop, trying to keep a nice smooth stroke, where versus turn it with my space navigator. Sometimes when I'm bored, if I wanted to, I play a little game. I get my die standing up straight. I hold my pen on the margin and I use my space navigator to get it to spin around just to see if I can hold it in and kind of self-mark. Simple pleasures for simple minds kind of thing. We'll just go to the molar here. So again, with the mouse, whatever I'm going to do, if I'm going to make it bigger, smaller, rotate it, what have you, I've got to slide my mouse on my mouse pad. I'm a little crowded here. And then I got to find my node. And usually there's a little bit of back and forth, but thing that lights up to tell me I'm active. And then I'm going to hold down on it. And then I'm going to rotate it or, pull it. Click and hold. I think they call that in ergonomics rubber banding. That's the killer. Versus, I hit my target instantaneously and I don't have a lot of this back and forth movement. So I think that's one of the ways that I gain efficiencies in what I'm designing is because, I'm not finding these little micro movements to get to do what I need to do. Again, I would have my space navigator. I'd go ahead and rotate that. Actually, it's just undo that. So, of course, we all know we can automatically propose, which is great. Sometimes I do that just to see where the software proposes. And if it's halfway decent and I like it, I'll go with it. If I have a deep bite and it really gouges out the anatomy and the thing looks kind of funky, well, all I did was click it once. The software made 4 moves for me, gave me an initial proposal. I don't like it, just undo it. And now I didn't really gain anything, but I didn't really lose anything as well. So let's disconnect the restoration. And then I'm going to undo what the computer did. So I'll just do a general sizing, occlusally. So that, because all teeth look different and they're all sized a little different, they all have, majority of the same characteristics. So it's very easy to kind of morph and adjust. So then I'll look down my buccal corridor. I'll size that, but see, When I go to whatever the node is, it's instantaneous. There's no more back and forth little micro movements. So let's just pretend I'm not really going to get hung up on the preciseness of our design. And then we can move into the individual morphing, and this is where the click and hold really became, a killer. Because when you look at the tooth surfaces, we have the turquoise in the fossa, we have the purple nodes on the occlusal surface, we have the yellow ones on the lingual surface, and the blue ones on the buccal surface. So each one of these, could be, a click and hold. So when I come here, I've got to do these little micro movements versus just get right to it. Just zoom in just a little bit. To further refine my design. And then I think one of the other really nice things, and this is where it allows me to get where I'm going really quickly, but now it allows me to really put any artistic creativity or details that I want to put in that I'm not able to do with a conventional mouse. So we can adjust our amplitude and our sphere of influence if I'm going to add. And so this tooth was specific with someone at some given time because it's a natural human tooth. But if I want to, add here, and I'm able to, curve. I'm able to get smaller radius, so it's just small drops, much like we use. Well, I got Peter K1 or whatever that little curly one is. It's been probably over a decade since I picked up one of those instruments, so I don't really know what they're called anymore. But allow me to just easily refine, and I can continue to repeat that stroke versus if I'm here, I really just don't get the same thing. I got to click and let go, and I'm constantly it's back and forth motion. Actually, it's not my heart pounding. And I'll show you on the anteriors that, again, where the value or really is increased is in the anterior region. This is really where we really got to shine as lab technicians. And so if I increase my radius, I'm going to keep my amplitude the same, and I'll do this on the anterior ones. But see, we have these nice heights of contour. We have these reflective, deflective zones. And so if I really want to maximize my symmetry or enhance whatever is being done, I don't know if you can see on my hand, and I'm going to exaggerate. See, it's just effortless. So whatever your sequence is, if you look at the labial surface first, you want to get your horizontal plane, get your teeth generally sized. Then we can go back here. We can rotate it. Pull it out a little bit if necessary if we don't like the incised ledge position. But the main thing is not how I'm designing at the current moment. It's just the instantaneousness and the lack of effort it really takes to kind of get where I'm trying to go. So let's move to the morphing tool. And again, depending on how you set up your spheres of influence. So one thing I will say with the tablets, there's a 13-inch tablet, a 16-inch tablet, a 22-inch tablet, a 27-inch tablet, and a now soon-to-be released 32-inch tablet. So my workstation is simple. I bought an IKEA desk. I think they called it Franklin. It's just a thin piece of wood on stands. And when I first started working with a 24, I thought that was really big. And then when I got a 27, I thought, oh man, that's going to be really too big. But it's actually very comfortable. When you start working with the smaller tablets, like this is a 22, you'll notice that because of the size of the screen, your areas like, I don't know what you call this, this box here. But sometimes you'll have to find you have to move those to get to some of the other steps. So that's one of the only drawbacks about working with a smaller tablet. So we have our influence here. And then now again on the wax knife, and we'll just pretend here. See, I can get that, I had a contour and I can comfortably repeat that stroke to mimic the adjacent tooth. Back that out just a little bit. Use my smooth tool. And I really feel this is the difference here. So that was with design, but I found the tool actually has better applications than this. So it's marking the margin. So I'm presuming most everybody here is taking some sort of iOS file and maybe using Model Builder. So in Model Builder with an iOS, traditionally the margin doesn't get marked 100% on an intraoral scan like it is on a stone model scan with the properly trimmed die. For the most part, it hits it, lights up green, and we're good to go with minimal effort. But with an iOS scan, we've got to cut out that die first for the model, and then we have to mark the margin. And to mark that margin, cleanly and efficiently with a conventional mouse doesn't work so well. So let's close this. Now, in this particular case, I've been taught by Argen when you import a iOS file, one of the first things it wants you to do is trim the upper jaw on the antagonist, and we've been taught don't trim at this stage, save it later for the Model Builder. But I'm going to change that, so I put keep all. So if I wanted to do this with the mouse and I wanted to clean that up, the whole time I'm doing this, I'm dragging my mouse over the mouse pad and I'm holding down the left button to be able to cut that. Or, again, with the Space Navigator, it's much easier. Or I can just take and draw my line, spin it around, and it can be very, very precise in what I do, even though I'm not being very precise now. I'm just showing you as an example how easy that is. So not only does that give me a benefit when I'm doing trimming models, I do implant planning with Implant Studio. So with Implant Studio, you have to create your surgical guide. So it makes it really easy to do the same movement and create your surgical guide and then edit that from your initial proposal. So again, it's really easy to not only do the surgical guide, but when I drop in my implants and I have the tilt and the rotate on the placement, it makes it almost effortless to be able to do that. The tissue to be able to see the tooth structure versus the tissue. So this is our next margin. It makes it very easy for me to define my margin line. This step is actually the cutout. Depending on how many you may or may not doing these days, the click and hold and trying to do that adds up over time. But more importantly, it makes it really easy for whoever's doing that because it's natural to us. We all have been holding some sort of pen or pencil probably since we were preschool or kindergarten, a crayon or whatever. So in the last case, hopefully I'll be able to show you, and I don't know if Zane's still in the room, but he was able to come up with a screw-retained full arch cases, of which we do quite a few of those. Primarily not designing from the ground up. We do copy scanning of our wax up or a PMMA, and then I refine that for the technician behind me for the gingiva with a composite or porcelain. All right, let's see what the next step is. So if I'm adjusting my margin lines, so for custom implants, it makes it really, really easy to do our designs. Anything that we design makes it really easy. So I won't adjust any of these. See if I can get to the gingiva pretty quick. It just makes it really easy just to get where we need to go very quickly and efficiently. Let's see if it goes now. I'm still missing it somewhere, so yeah, I don't want to get too hung up on trying to figure out what the error is. So it's really about how easy it is. I mean, once you've gone through it a few times, I'm sure you're making the connection on the ease of use, the safety that we're doing, the artistic expression. Yeah, so as I understand it, this is a monitor that travels around, so it's been beaten up a little bit, but this particular stand has only real 3 adjustable points. The 13-inch is it's kind of like one of those iPad covers. It's got like 3 slots where you can adjust your angulation. That ergotronic stand is completely 100% free floating, whatever you want. So that even makes it more beneficial for customization to the person when they're sitting relative to the bench height, and where the monitor is, proximity to them, so that they have optimum sitting position. One of my friends that attended the program yesterday said, well, my only concern would be like with your shoulders. Well, I can work directly on that, so I'm completely supported. So I've done many 12-hour days, day in and day out, designing full-time, and I'm just not fatigued at the end of the day.